If you are measuring yourself based on a standard of comfort, you are going to be in trouble. This is not about where I am right now. Like in terms of how I think about things, this is where my family and I need to be. As a father, I need to feed my children for the next 20 years before they can start feeding themselves, right? What do I need to do, no matter how uncomfortable it makes me, to make sure that happens? Are you thinking that way? Because let me tell you something. With the way things are changing now, if you're not thinking that way, if you're not like, man, I am all in and wired for success no matter what I have to do, no matter how many hours it takes, no matter what I have to learn, no matter how uncomfortable it is, you're in trouble. I come on the air, I'm like, okay, going to the next level, part 1, part 2, part 3. Wired to Win, the psychology of success, part 1. Today we're on part 2. And I'm going to tell you, like all week I've been thinking, like, is this making a difference? Like, do people really get what's happening here? Do we really understand why the conversation I'm looking to have with you is so important?
If you want to be about it, come on, let's talk about it. Change up the things you see. Open your mind to possibilities. Find your power, passion, and your purpose. You know it's time for you to walk in greatness. Let's murder mediocrity. Slay your goals, live out your dreams. Now, inspirational perspective. Open your mind to a better life. It's time to live a dream. Your purpose now. Inspirational perspective. Let's slay your goals.
If we want to win, then we must first win in the mind. Because if you don't win in the mind, you cannot win in your life. You cannot win in your life. I've been thinking about this a lot. And one of the things that has come to mind for me, because I think about my listeners, I think about what people are up against in their lives. Like if you look at like real life situations, like what are we up against in our lives? And the best vantage point for me is through my children, because my wife and I, we're working to craft or to build and be good stewards of young people who will become adults. And a lot of what we're doing today is what will wire them to win, like their psychology, right? This is the most, like in many ways, the most malleable their minds will be. Because when they get older, it's going to be a little more difficult. And I've just been thinking about my son who's 7. He'll be 8 this year. And, sometimes he'll get discouraged about, certain things. And it's like really been working on this psychology of stick-with-itness, resilience. It doesn't matter what people say. What are you up to? What do you like? Like individuality, uniqueness. And in working with him, I'm realizing that as we mature, it doesn't really change much. Like the things that we're up against in our lives, the peer pressure, the being concerned about what a peer says, like it goes in many ways from the classroom to the coworker. It goes from the playground to my peers. And so as we're having this conversation around the psychology to win, one of the things I started thinking about is, okay, I can teach on like all these different aspects of mastery and vision and habits and focus and taking action and mindset overall. But if you're not being thoughtful about the people you're around, and if you haven't figured out that if you want to go to the next level, one of the major things that you're going to have to do is separate yourself from people who don't want to go to the next level and find a community that does want to go to the next level, like you're in big trouble. There's no way that you're going to transform your life, go to the next level, completely shift your mindset if you continue to be around the same people that you were around when you were struggling. Or right now, if you're in the struggle right now, you got to look around and say, how much of my struggle is a consequence of my surrounding? How much of my struggle is a consequence of the people that I'm around? You just got to ask yourself. And I think when you talk about winning, it's probably the hardest part, is actually being like intentionally thoughtful about potentially the relationships you will have to sever or will sever. Like maybe you don't have to do anything, but you just know if you begin loving yourself, if you begin pouring into yourself, if you begin really thinking about where you want to go in terms of the next level, if you begin taking action on your goals, if you get serious about your goals, if you get serious about your aspirations, if you begin to define your life by the vision you have for your life, who are the people who are going to push against that? Who are the people who are going to ridicule that? Those are likely the relationships that will need to be severed. Because I think very few of us, I don't know of anyone, can be around a group of people who don't want to see you win and actually win. I don't know. Like even when you think about the law of vibration and frequency, like their vibration alone will pull yours down. And I wanted to put that in because I think it's critical, right? And I was thinking about it from the aspect of the way that my wife and I are raising Legend and Rain. Like they've been blessed and we are blessed to have them. They're blessed to have us, to have parents who are thoughtful and who are doing the best that they can to create the vibration and frequency in the home that will support them in having a winning psychology later in their lives. And for those of us who weren't blessed with that, then we're going to have to first, I think that's number one, first actually say to ourselves, what is the community I need to be with? Who are the people I need to be with? Who are the people I need to sever if I'm really, really committed to winning? I've given this example before, but a boxer who's committed to being a champion, if you can interview almost every champion, and there comes a time where they even cut themselves off from their wives, right? So because I have to, hey, there's a nurturing you give me, there's a certain quality that you give me as my wife that now I'm about to go into the ring. I'm 2 weeks out, I'm 3 weeks out, and I don't need that in my life right now if I'm going to win, right? And of course, the wife that is committed to him being a champion will say, see you on the other side, right? Now, and this is the tough part because then it comes down to, she's like, no. Like, you may never be a champion. You may, and if you can't say no, this is what, I know you're not happy about it, I love you, and like, you may never be a champion. And what I'm sharing here is that there's a certain wiring that people who want to win have. And maybe the first question, part 2 of this series in terms of the psychology of success is, 1, do you have that wiring? And 2, if not, are you willing? Are you willing to rewire how you think so you can win? Now, let's go back to the analogy of a fighter. A fighter, they may have multiple shots at the title. They could win, lose one, work their way back up, and get back in the ring to, fight for the championship. The difference between a fighter who's going for the championship and us is we got one life. Like, we got one shot at this. And how are you going to, in many ways, deliberately create your life, create your surrounding, create your community in a way that you can win? You got one shot to win. Who are the people that are going to support you on that winning journey? And I got to put that one in there first, because everything else we talk about, it's awesome. I mean, these characteristics of success, psychology of success. But if you take this and you go have brunch with the same girlfriends that pull you down, oh, I just heard this, on the radio, and this is what I'm doing. Girl, please, you ain't gonna do nothing. Like if that's what you're walking into. For the men, like if you're about to go into, okay, I'm gonna go watch the game or whatever, and hey man, I'm thinking about this, man, you ain't gonna do nothing. Or they chuckling and laughing. It's like at some point you got to separate yourself and find a community of people who are going to double down and say, how can I help you? Winning starts in the mind. And lasting success is built through action and consistency. And the thing that's coming to my mind this morning is consistency of community. Consistency of community. I think it's one of the most powerful parts of the Slayer Goals membership, the coaching community, is that they have other people they can tap into who are thinking like them. I was talking to one of the members of the community. We had a meetup a couple of weeks ago, and they were just sharing how awesome it was to be able to leave that meetup, go out, grab something to eat with people who have shared language. Like, it's a game changer. Right now, I'm part of a group. There's 15 of us, business owners, all CEOs. And we met this past Friday talking about our financials and things like that. There is a shared language in this community. It's a differentiator. Like, community is important. And so as we talk about the psychology of success, like, I want you to be thinking about, like, what makes up my community? Who are the people I'm spending the most time with? And how are they supporting me in becoming wired to win? Here's the last thing I'm going to say on this. I didn't even plan to say this. It just hit me. And I think, the creator knows what he's doing, but seeing this woman, this was a situation, you guys. Old lady, she had like a little cart, like looked like groceries in it or, bags. And she was halfway up the bridge on IDB Wells when you're coming down, when you're going east into the city where, you got that one light, but the cars are flying up to that light. And she was already past the off-ramp for Franklin and Wacker. So, she was like stuck because she turned around and she could see cars flying down that ramp, right? And then cars are flying towards her, cars are flying down the ramp. She just stuck. And right away I thought about, who does she belong to? That's what I thought about. Like, who would be looking for this woman? Old woman. Who does she belong to? Like if she has a phone, who could she call? Who is her community? And right away, my mind started going to community, and it's like, well, how do you help her? So I thought, well, it's more important to help her, especially if her life is in danger, than to be on the radio. And so right away, I'm like, okay, can I turn around? I'm like, nah, that's not safe for me. Probably wouldn't be safe for her. So I called the Chicago police and convinced them, like stayed on the phone, like, hey, look, you gotta. But I'm saying all that because right away it was like the thing that came to mind for me was community. Like, who are the people? Because when they see it, they're gonna say, who can we call? When they pick her up, hopefully this happening now or happened already, who can we call? Like, who cares about you? Where is your community? Another community that is an artificial intelligence fellowship. And part of the work that I've been doing is to move from a user to practitioner, like someone who is practiced. Think of it as, to come from someone who uses a doctor to someone who can actually support people in their healing, right? That's, in terms of artificial intelligence, what I've been working on and dedicating quite a bit of time to. And then there's a community. Like, there's a community of people. And here's what I notice is happening. And I've been thinking about this because I want to spend some time on the air really talking about what's going on with technology. But what's happening is within this community, we're all like-minded. We all want to learn. And so we're feeding on one another. We're feeding on each other's ideas. And already I can see a shift in how I view the world. I can see a shift in how I view my business. I can see a shift in how I can support my clients already. And the biggest area of concern for me is our community. Going back to community, is our community. Because what I'm afraid of is most of us are so busy surviving that as this new technology is beginning to grab a hold of everything in our lives and how we move, there are a group of people who are about to make, I can't even, a lot of money. And by the way, a lot of money leveraging a skill that is not difficult to learn. Right? So in this community, there's about 300 of us that are going through this fellowship all over the world. And here's the thing that strikes me. I was telling my barber yesterday. And again, we're talking about Wired to Win, the psychology of success. I was talking to him about this yesterday. I haven't seen one other brother, one other sister. I haven't seen one out of 300 people globally. I haven't seen an African. I haven't seen them. Now, maybe their screen is off on Zoom. I pray to God that's what's happening. I pray to God I'm not the only one, right? But right now, I don't see anybody that looks like me, male or female, in this community, in this fellowship, right? In fact, I have only seen 2 Americans. Both of them women. Neither of them are part of the African American community. I've only seen 2 Americans. And overwhelmingly, this global community of people who are looking to take themselves to the next level with the technology that is changing everything as we speak are from everywhere else in the world. Majority India. By the way, India is leading the charge. And then the rest throughout Europe, Russia, other parts, Asia, other parts of the world. And I've been thinking about this. And this all aligns with being wired to win. I've been thinking about this. There's a natural rhythm to the incline. When I say the incline, like the uptick of success in a nation and then the decline of success in a nation. And typically it has a lot to do with when people feel like they've arrived. Like, I'm comfortable. Everything around me is good. I spent a lot of time in India. The reason I'm not surprised they're leading with AI is because many of them come from horrible circumstances. Because the one thing I've learned about India, and anybody who's listening to me who is from India or has lived in India, or they understand what I'm talking about. The thing that I learned when I lived in India is that the gap between those who have and those who have not is wider than any other place, maybe parts of Africa, right? But in terms of what I've seen, even in Africa, I didn't see living conditions like what I saw in India. I mean, as horrible as what I saw in India. Like, even in Africa, there's a structure, even in the, like the ghettos of South Africa, there's a structure and a community and a sense of, living. Like, it's not at our standard. It's well beneath our standard, but that's different than what I saw in the slums of India. Now, I'm going to give you an example real quick because I really want you all to understand where I'm going with this. So when I spent time in India, I remember this is back in 2004, and I had the opportunity to live there for a while. And when I was there, I remember leaving the hotel, I was in Mumbai. I lived in Pune, but I was in Mumbai initially. And I remember like leaving the hotel and walking a bit, just kind of checking things out. And as I'm walking, children would come up to me and beg for rupees. And the children were maimed, like they might be missing a limb, they might be blind, whatever it may be. And it was so overwhelming for me, like child after child after child after child, like unlike anything I had ever experienced in my life. It was so overwhelming for me that I had to go back to the hotel, like, because I'll start to get emotional. And when I went back to my hotel, I cried. I cried for about 30 minutes because it was just like, I wasn't prepared for that. And at the time it's 2004, I was a lot younger. I was in my late 20s. And I just didn't know what I was walking into. I had no idea what I was walking into. The hotel I was staying at was one of the top hotels in Mumbai. And so imagine leaving a building that's, you got marble pillars and marble floors and quartz counters, and it's just gorgeous. Attendants are clean and, everything uniformed and, Mr. Harris, how are you? And then you walk a few blocks. And then all of a sudden, the scenery changes. It's a slum, and just you're mobbed by children who are like in need, and they see you as like incredibly wealthy. It's like, just give me some rupees, and the missing limb. Anyway, it was so overwhelming for me. I went back to the hotel. I cried, and then later, I began to learn more about India, everything that was, the economic conditions, the caste system. I can go on and on telling you stories. But now I'm in this fellowship, and it's dominated by Indians. And it makes sense to me. It makes sense to me because now, for the first time, hand me your phone real quick. For the first time in their lives, like, they can learn how to use this device, right? They can make a small investment in this device where I'm holding, if you can't see me, I'm holding the cell phone, right? They can make an investment in this device and learn how to use it with artificial intelligence to leverage their knowledge in a way where then one day you're going to have to call them to get help. Here you go. You're going to have to call them to get supported and to get help. And they're going to make money on you. And they're hungry. And the reason they're hungry is because it's, in many ways, the only opportunity that can exponentially change their lives. And here's the thing. Not only will it exponentially change their lives, but many of them will out-earn us in the next 5 to 10 years. Mark my word. Now, why am I going here? The reason I'm going here is because I firmly believe one of the reasons many of us aren't wired to win is because we're placing in the race. So I'm in the top 10. It would be like, let me give you an example. If I were a boxer and I walk into a room of people who aren't boxers, I'm the baddest one in the room. I could be ranked number 20. Ain't nobody gonna mess with me. Is this making sense to you guys? So I'm good enough. I may not be all that in the arena of my peers, but when I walk out on the street, I'm one of the baddest. And people know not to mess with me, right? Now we can go down the list of all the different, same thing. I remember years ago playing in a Nike league against a guy who got cut from the Phoenix Suns. I had to guard him. It wasn't pretty. And when I say it wasn't pretty, like he had his way with me, right? Now, this guy, when you look at the number of NBA players across the nation, right? He wasn't among them. He got cut from them. But then when he came to a group of amateurs, he was. And I honestly believe that many of us, like, we're not hungry. Because even though we're not playing the game we want to play, like, and I'm going to go back to this guy, right? He wasn't playing the game he wanted to play in the NBA, wherever else he went to play the game, he excelled. So why would I work that hard? I can beat all you. I honestly believe that one of the major reasons that many of us aren't going to the next level is because we are now at a point where it's good enough. I'm good enough. It's good enough. I get cold, I turn up the heat. I get warm, I turn down the heat. In the summertime, I get hot, I turn on the AC. If I'm in the car, I roll up the windows. Everything that I need to make myself comfortable is now on a dial, on a knob. So what's this you talking about, Linnell? Sounds good. But the level of comfort I have week over week is so seductive that I can't stay focused. Donald Trump has less than 4 years now. Right? A lot of folks, y'all mad at him. But what he's trying to do is isolate the United States because he sees what's happening. And if we stay in this global market, we can't win. That's why what's going on is going on. Like, you can get angry, you can get mad. He's making your current life uncomfortable on purpose because he's doing the best that he can to insulate us from this global takeover. I'm hoping, and by the way, don't oh my God, he's on Trump's side. It's not even about that. It's a perspective. I really want you to see where I'm going. Don't get stuck on that. We are in a global market. And he got 3.5 years to try to insulate us as best he can. It's not enough. It's not enough. If you are measuring yourself based on a standard of comfort, you are going to be in trouble. This is not about where I am right now. Like, in terms of how I think about things, this is where my family and I need to be. As a father, I need to feed my children for the next 20 years before they can start feeding themselves, right? What do I need to do, no matter how uncomfortable it makes me, to make sure that happens? Are you thinking that way? Because let me tell you something. With the way things are changing now, if you're not thinking that way, if you're not like, man, I am all in and wired for success no matter what I have to do, no matter how many hours it takes, no matter what I have to learn, no matter how uncomfortable it is, you're in trouble. And I come on the air, I'm like, okay, going to the next level, part 1, part 2, part 3. Wired to Win, The Psychology of Success, part 1. Today we're on part 2. And I'm going to tell you, all week I've been thinking, is this making a difference? Do people really get what's happening here? Do we really understand why the conversation I'm looking to have with you is so important? The fellowship I'm in cost me, I'll be straight up, $4,000. A peer of mine, colleague of mine, have a conversation with him and another brother weekly. 2 people, same psychology, right? And so we support one another, we check one another, we coach one another, we keep ourselves, we keep a razor sharp edge. So, I can bring anything, health and well-being, marriage, all that to them. They'll let me know, hey, bro, you need to get your mind right. So he found out, he's in my community, finds out, you doing this? Hey, man, I'm going to sign up. Calls me up. He said, hey, you said you paid $4,000. It's way more than that now. I said, of course it is. Right? They're beginning to understand how valuable what they're teaching is. What are you going to do? I'm signing up anyway. I'm trying, right now, there's a convergence happening. Right now, if you've been struggling most of your life, I told this to the Uber driver. I put it on Facebook in the car with the Uber driver trying to get his life together. I'm like, hey, look, man, Invest in learning artificial intelligence. Like if you do that, it'll change your life. I don't know what he's doing now, but I can tell you if he looked it up and is not comfortable, he probably isn't. Most of us, the thing that we lack is the ability to look down the road and actually see the barriers and obstacles that will be in our way and start preparing ourselves now for how we will maneuver. And preparing with an urgency as if you are maneuvering them right now. I believe one of the reasons most of us don't get activated is because we lack that. We're too comfortable. Most of you can start your cars from your home. Got the remote. And nowadays, it don't even matter what car you have. You know, you can have what they call an economy car. Almost everybody's got remote start. Real comfortable. Let me cool it off. Let me warm it up. I don't know. I'm gonna go into the teaching, but I really hope you get what I'm talking about. What I hope doesn't happen is somebody's listening to this recording, this content 5 years from now, saying, I remember that and I wish it had activated me. Let's talk about why most people don't follow through. Because I think in terms of being wired to win, this is probably one of the most important things that we can talk about. Because I'm pretty sure that in the first hour, I said some things that got you thinking, right? It activated you. And then I'm sure when I was saying most of us will forget, most of you all will forget what I talked about in the next 2 hours. You're like, no, not me. No, not me. Linnell, why would you say that? He ain't talking about me. He talking about y'all. Let me tell you why I say that, why most people don't follow through. Most of us, we win the moment. What do I mean by win the moment? In the moment, when I feel inspired, when I feel it's like, I got this, we win the moment. But we don't have a pattern of getting it. Like, do you have a pattern of consistency in your life where you get it? One better for you. Do you have a pattern of consistency in your life where you put yourself in uncomfortable situations on purpose because you promised yourself you're going to master something? That's a pattern. That's how you create consistency. Most people don't fail at their goals. They fail at being consistent. They fail at consistency. The goal itself happens to be a martyr of your consistency. And every goal, or most of the goals you've created, right, are martyrs of your consistency or the lack thereof. And so, how do you get past that? Like, this is the reason why I'm constantly putting myself in situations. Perfect example. So I'll be scuba diving with humpback whales later this year. And I had a moment a few weeks ago where I'm thinking about it. I'm looking at my year and I said, man, why are you doing that? One, I know that when I get in the water and I experience it, it's going to be amazing. But two, it makes me slightly uncomfortable. And I've decided that in this life, if it's not something that's going to put my life in jeopardy, that I must put myself in uncomfortable situations. I was just having this conversation with the leader, president of an organization. She was asking me about the leadership tour of Uganda. She's like, Linnell, what about this tour do you think is, worth it for me to take 10 days off to be with a group of leaders? I get the mastermind and I get the other group of leaders. But why would you say that? And I told her, I said, look, I'm guessing that you've grown accustomed to the work you do and that you're very comfortable. And the idea of being in the same vicinity as a gorilla is like completely, like it challenges how you think about yourself, how you think about the world, it's hard to process. One of the reasons I believe most leaders don't enact the level of courage necessary in their leadership to take the organization to the next level, their teams to the next level, is because we don't know how to be in the fire. Every leader that has changed the world, every leader that has done something extraordinary, right? You read their autobiographies, Abraham Lincoln, Winston Churchill. Like, that's why I'm drawn to these leaders, Malcolm X, Dr. Martin Luther King. They knew how to be in the fire. But the reason they knew how to be in the fire is because they lived a life that was consistently in the fire. In order to win that war, Winston Churchill did things that were technically illegal in Great Britain. If he had been caught, they likely would have taken him to jail. In order for him to win that war, right? He had to, you imagine what it feels like to know, like if this mission I created that has not been designated by the crown or by military or by the military, if they get caught, then I'm in trouble. But not just that. But if I don't do it, the country's in trouble. That's a different type of leadership. Most of us, do you have that kind of wiring? And this is what I'm talking about, wired to win. One of the reasons we all love Michael Jordan is because he was wired to win. He wasn't the nicest guy. I had the opportunity to be in his presence 3 times, never shook his hand. He wasn't a nice guy, right? But I respect him because he was wired to win. His psychology for success was different. And I honestly believe this is why there's only a few people, I put it like this, only a few people will actually challenge themselves to take time off, to put themselves in an uncomfortable situation to trek a gorilla in Uganda, even though it is statistically safer than driving. Only a few people, because most of us won't challenge ourselves like that. We won't challenge ourselves. Nah. And that's why I believe only a few people rise to the top. And the major thing that takes us out is our patterns. Most people don't fail at goals. They fail at consistency. Are you willing to be consistently under fire? Are you willing to be consistently improving yourself? Are you willing to almost any time? Let me give you an example. One of the gentlemen he went to Ghana. I met him. He interviewed me some time ago for Rolling Stone. We stayed in contact. And then later he wanted to take his entire family to Ghana. So we go to Ghana. He's an author and an entrepreneur. We go to Ghana and we spend some time in Ghana. And, we find out we both play, basketball. We got a lot of things in common. So now one of the things that we do is whenever we see a Michael Jordan reel on Instagram or something like that talks about the psychology of winning, we'll send it to each other. And that's kind of our thing. Recently, he sent this reel to me. And it was, I believe it was John Sally was talking about Michael Jordan. And he said, you want to know why he was so good in the game? He said the reason he was so good in the games is because he practiced that way. When nobody was watching, he practiced as if everything depended on it. He was like, even in practice, he did not want to lose. It wasn't all we're running a drill. No, I got to run a drill the best. If we're running, I got to end first. If we're scrimmaging, I got to win the scrimmage. He practiced as if he was in the game. Now, fast forward, if you ever heard the interview where they asked him, hey, when you took that last shot, did you have any concerns? Did you, and he would look and say, no, I practiced that shot. I hit that shot in practice. I didn't question whether or not I could hit it in the game because I hit it in practice. What are you practicing day in and day out? Nobody's around. No one's with you. You're in the office alone. You're in your cubicle alone. How are you practicing? And the big question is, are you practicing with consistency? Because here's the thing. Repetition is what builds your identity. Repetition is what builds your identity. If I'm repeatedly sparring and fighting, and then someone approaches me on the feet and punches at me, does my heart rate even go up? No, because the repetition of being a fighter has built the identity of a fighter. Too bad for them, they just swung at a fighter. Is this making sense to you all? If I'm repeatedly overcoming resistance in my life, this is what we're talking about today, Slayer Goals members. Repeatedly leaning into resistance. What happens is I begin to build an identity that I defeat resistance. I beat resistance. And so when resistance shows up, I go, we encountered some this morning. Like my blood pressure didn't go up. We're going to figure it out. We're going to make it happen, right? Like I'm used to leaning into resistance. Repetition builds identity. If you run from resistance, repetition builds identity. That's how you identify with yourself now. Subconsciously, you see yourself as someone who does not stand in the fire. And the only way to change it is to begin standing in the fire. See, there's no fun way, easy way to put this. You just got to figure out where you want to be in your life. And this is why vision is so important, because vision equals discipline. If my vision is clear, I'm disciplined to stand in the fire. I'm standing here. I'm uncomfortable, but I'm standing here because this is what it takes for me to achieve what it is I intend to create. Discipline is doing what it is you must do, even when you don't feel like it. Discipline is doing what it is I know I must do, even when I don't feel like it. And the reason you will stay disciplined is because repetition builds identity. And so if I'm used to being disciplined, if I'm used to being clear with my vision, if I'm used to being disciplined in alignment with the vision, then that becomes my identity. I don't know what else to do. I don't know how else to move. Discipline is a self-imposed standard for the sake of a higher goal. That's what discipline is. A self-imposed standard for the sake of a higher goal. Real success equals what you're willing to do to win when no one's watching. And what you're willing to do to win when you don't feel like it, when you're uninspired, when you lack the motivation. It's interesting, man. I made a commitment some time ago, like 50 push-ups a day. At minimum. And by the way, this is whether I'm in the gym or not. In the gym 3 to 4 times a week. But no matter what, 50 push-ups a day. Even if you bench press that day. Even if you hit the weights that day, 50 push-ups a day. You think I feel like it? You think I feel like it some nights? Everybody in the house is asleep. I realize you didn't do your 50 push-ups. Think I feel like it? Real success is what you do when no one is watching. You know the reason I do the 50 push-ups? Because I understand that repetition builds identity. I want to identify with myself as someone who does what he says he's going to do. It's not a promise I made my wife. It's not a promise I made my son. It's not a promise I made my daughter. It's not a promise I made a client. It's a promise I made to myself. It's a promise I made to myself. I believe the gap for many of us when it comes to our ability to be successful comes down to, are you committed to becoming the person versus just setting the goal. Each goal that you create is a becoming. It's a becoming. Health and well-being goal, a becoming. Relationship and love goal, a becoming. A money goal, a becoming. A work goal, a becoming. A spiritual goal, a becoming. It's who you intend to become. And I believe most of us are detached from the goal in a way that actually allows us to drop it, versus being attached so much so that I have to deliver on the goal because this is the person I'm becoming. This is who I identify. I already identify as that person, so I must become that person. All right. So then how do you sustain this? How do you become consistent? How do you set yourself up to win? How do you set yourself up to actually take on this type of psychology? Well, what's in your space? What's in your space? When you walk into your cubicle on Monday, what do you see? Does it look like the cube of a winner? When you walk into your office on Monday, what do you see? Does it look like the office of a winner? Do you identify with every object in that office? If not, maybe it's time to throw it away. Does everything in that office tell a story about who you're becoming? Who you're wiring yourself to be? So I think sometimes we take too much for granted. Because again, everything's good. It's what's in my space. I got some books on the nightstand. Wife is like, if you read them, get rid of them. I'm like, no, I kind of just want them there. Right? It's nice to read that title from time to time right before you go to sleep. Like, it's important that it's in my space. It's important that it's in my space. In my office, there's some books right behind me. I'm very thoughtful about the 10 books that are there because I'm seeing those titles every day, right? What's in your space? I'm seeing those titles every day. My subconscious mind is seeing those titles every day. The Big Leap, How to Set Goals, The Art of War. The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. Like certain things, like, the laws of human nature. I want to see them. I want to see them. I want my mind to be like, yeah, that matters. Why? I'm wiring myself subconsciously to win. Your 5 next moves. Like all those things in my space. Is your space set with intention? Your home set with intention? Your bedroom set with intention? Your kitchen set with intention? Your living room set with intention? In our home, if you come into our home, right away you start noticing there's pictures of Pam and I in almost every space. That's intentional, right? You're now in a space that we created with love, a love that started with us. That's intentional. It's not, oh, we just thought it was going to be nice. No, that's intentional. It's our space. Who's in your circle? I started the show with that. Who's in your circle? Who's in your circle? Does each person in your circle have a quality that you aspire to? They may not, I ain't saying every quality, but there's something that you aspire to. And it's simple as this. You can't expect to create a brand new future in an environment that supports the old you. Does that make sense? You can't expect to create a brand new future in an environment that was supported by the old you, that created the old you. You can't have it both ways. Like, success requires a certain level of intention. This week, if I were to give you a practice, I would tell you, audit your space. Look around you. Audit your space. Audit the people in your life. More importantly, audit your routines. What are you doing? Here's the reason why the audit is important. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. I wish I could claim that, but that's a quote by James Clear. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Do you have winning systems in place? What systems are you living in? Like, that's the point of the audit, right? Audit your space, audit your circle, audit your systems, audit your routine. The major part of the psychology of success is your identity. How do you identify? Do you identify as successful? I remember years ago and I tell this story all the time, but when I was a senior manager, I worked at a tech company. And at this tech company, it was a tech company. You could wear jeans and gym shoes to work. Some guys came in with T-shirts on and nobody said anything. It was a technology company. What mattered is that you showed up and that you did amazing work. But when you got to a certain level, there were no jeans and T-shirts. There was slacks and button-downs. And when I started to aspire to go to that level, I realized I was going to have to put a new system in place. I was going to have to do an audit of my wardrobe. And you know what's interesting is before I became a director, when I was a senior manager, I was wearing those jeans and those T-shirts. I didn't wear T-shirts. I wore polos. That felt a little too informal, Also, I didn't have the reflection for that, the complexion for that. Like sometimes, the others can get away with things we can't get away with. I was like, I better put on a collar. So anyway, as I'm like, okay, I want to go to the next level, I started to dress differently. And it was something about dressing differently, like wearing the slacks, wearing the Oxfords, right? Wearing the button down, where I started to identify myself as successful, but not just that, as a director before I even became one. Sometimes, like, we're like, they're holding me back. They don't want to see me be successful. They keep passing me over. And we don't realize that it's more of our own inner identity that's hurting us. They don't see you as a leader because you don't see yourself as a leader. And you don't see yourself as a leader because you haven't identified as a leader. And you haven't identified as a leader because you haven't audited your spaces. You haven't audited your wardrobe. You haven't audited your environment. You must be before you can do. You must be before you can do. And the only way to have is to take the action and do what's necessary to have it. So if you want to have something, you must become it. I hope this is making sense. Like, the psychology of success is that you must become what it is that you want to have before you have it. Because you won't do the work if you're not being the person that will do the work. I don't know how to make this any more clear. I have a framework called Be, Do, Have. Just sharing it with a client this week. Like, anything you want to have. The last time I shared this on the radio, I got some nasty emails. No matter. Anything you want to have. Anything you want to have, you must become first. You must become it first. It's that simple. Everything on this earth realm plane works through the same laws, the law of vibration and frequency. The Creator put it in place. He was like, hey, you must be what you want to have. The frequency must match up. If the frequency doesn't match up, you can't get it. Stop blaming other folks. Have you become? They can't stop you when you become what it is you want to have. They can't stop you. It's going to happen. They can't stop you. They can't stop you from living in the neighborhood. They can't stop you from driving the car. They can't stop you from being promoted into the position if you become what it is you want to have. Once you become it, it's just a matter of time. And then the thing about it is, most of us aren't willing to do the work because we haven't become what it is that requires the work. I don't see how Linnell stays focused like that, because you haven't become it. Like you gotta become. You gotta be it. So then first it's like, all right, how do I mentally, spiritually, and physically become who it is that I intend to be? And this goes back to the conversation in the first hour. What are your circles? Audit your circle. Audit your space. Audit yourself. I think the other piece that really solidifies your psychology for success is legacy thinking. Let me explain. I've dedicated my life to building something that lasts. Whether it's the content, maybe 100 years from now, people are listening to this content. I don't know. Whether it's my children, my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren. I've created trust, living trust, all these things, insurance policies, because I have legacy thinking. It's not about right now. It's like it's about what are you building that will last. And the question is, what legacy are you committed to? Like if you found that nothing else works, the one thing I know that works, I do it all the time with leaders. I ask a leader, they'd be like, leadership is hard. It's okay. I agree. And at the same time, what legacy do you want to leave as a leader? What do you want people to say about you? The people who reported into you, the people you led. What do you want them to say about you when you're gone? That activates every leader I know. I haven't met a leader yet that's like, I don't care. They're all like, ooh. Well, I want them to say I was caring. I want them to say I was attentive. I want them to say that I was engaged. I want them to say, okay, go be that. Commit to that. Go be that. Like it activates something in most people. Legacy. What do you want your leadership legacy to be? What do you want your legacy to be? If you can't find anything else that I said today that resonates with you, I'm hoping that resonates. What do you want your legacy to be? What do you want your children to remember about you? What do you want your grandchildren to remember about you? What do you want your great-grandchildren to say about you? Are you the point? Are you the person that made the difference? Are you the one that took the family in a different direction? Are you building something that your future self will look back and thank you for? What will your nieces say about you? What will your nephews say about you? What will the people you lead say about you? What will your coworkers say about you? What will your friends say about you? What will your family say about you? They may not always like how you move, but what will they say about you when it's all over? What are you working on right now that will outlive you? Legacy. It comes down to one thing. You're either repeating growth, you're either creating growth, or repeating dysfunction. And for most of us, like we've come from some level of dysfunction. So are you repeating that? Are you putting it on your children? that way of being, that fearfulness, that lack of confidence? Like, are they learning how to be that way from you? Or are you going to break it up? Are you going to grow in a way where they actually see, man, I see how mama grew. I see how she's different. I see how grandmama grew. I see how grandpa grew. You're either creating growth in your life. And by the way, growth comes through pain and discomfort. And that's the one thing that we've learned to avoid. It's the American way. Be uncomfortable. Be uncomfortable. It's crazy. There are people worried about the stock market that don't got stocks. They're uncomfortable about the economy. They don't have money. How does this make sense? I don't want to even sense discomfort. The rich folks uncomfortable, that makes me uncomfortable. They don't even want nothing to do with discomfort. Man, the only way that you can win is you have to be wired for growth. You have to be more concerned about growth than discomfort. Like, I'm willing to be uncomfortable. Hey, anybody that knows me knows I don't mind putting folks in an uncomfortable situation if it's going to grow you. I don't mind. I don't mind it. Oh, you uncomfortable? Stick with the discomfort. Figure it out. You got this. You can, it's only going to make you better. You can be mad at me right now. One day you'll thank me. I'm going to close it out with the 10 characteristics of success. I did an entire show on this years ago. I think I took a whole hour to walk through these. I'm going to do it in 10 minutes. We'll do it in 10 minutes. And maybe, depending, I might come back and break them down. But I think we're very clear. We should get it. The first characteristics of success: resilience, the ability to be resilient. No matter the obstacle, no matter what's in front of me, I'm going to stick to my commitments. I'm going to stick to my personal objectives. I'm going to stick to my goal. I'm going to go after my aspiration, despite the circumstance. I once heard resilience described as, is a billionaire with $20 billion smarter than the rest of us? And the answer is no. They've just mastered characteristics of resilience in terms of how they create enterprise. They know how to overcome things that I haven't overcome. They have maybe just a small bit of knowledge that I don't have. And they're acting on it. They're resilient no matter what. They're pushing no matter what. Resilience, number one. Number two, believing you can. Believing you can. You have two options. One, believing you can. Two, believing you can't. It's that simple. Whatever's in front of you, do you believe that you can overcome it? Henry Ford said, whether you can or you can't, you're right. I believe that with every fiber of my being. The Creator made us with so much power that the major reason most of us can is because we've already doomed ourselves to failure. We've already cursed ourselves to not be able to in our own thinking. Believing you can. Either you believe you can or you believe you can't. It's that simple. It's that simple. You can do anything that you put your mind to. Anything. You got to start practicing that. Anything. Number three, having a plan. Successful people have a plan. They take the majority of their time to plan. They're planning because they know when it comes time to execute and they're under fire, if they don't have a plan, they will fold. Even in the worst moments, General Dwight D. Eisenhower, previous to D-Day, he said, planning is essential. He's like, and the problem is things may not go according to plan. So guess what? I'm going to give you an objective where you can change the plan if necessary. Full victory, nothing else. Even though he knew that the plan may not stick, he still spent the time to create a strategic plan. Do you have a plan? And I'm going to tell you something. If you don't plan, you're just in trouble. I remember I had a VP years ago that said proper planning prevents poor performance. Proper planning prevents poor performance. I believe it to this day. If you need support with planning, go to slayyourgoals.com. Download the book. Number 4, clearly defining what success is in your life. A clear definition. Vision equals discipline. Number 5, self-discipline. A clear vision. Number 4. Number 5, discipline. You can't have 4. You can't have 5 without the 4. Like, you got to have a clear vision if you want to be disciplined. One of the major reasons many of us fold is because we weren't clear about where we were going. If you're clear about it, you'll get there. Number 6, passion. I haven't met a person yet who is not passionate about what they do every day if they're successful. Almost everybody, they're passionate about it. They're passionate about what they're building. The successful people I run into, they're passionate. They'll sit and talk to you for hours about what they do, about how they do it. If you aren't doing what you're passionate about, run. Run. It's a setup for mediocrity. Otherwise, you will become unengaged, and eventually fail. That's what happens. If your business is failing and you weren't passionate about the business, it's not the economy, it's you. Let me say it again. If your business is failing and you were not passionate about the business, it's not the economy, it's you. Success, one of the ingredients of success is passion. I can guarantee, no matter what business you're in, I can find someone who's successful at that business, and what we will point to as a differentiator is their passion. Passionate people typically aren't targeted when companies evaluate their employees for layoffs. Name come up on the list. Oh, yeah, no. They're too valuable. They're good. They're passionate. We need that energy. What about so-and-so? Let her go. Passion. Number 6, passion. Number 7, someone who understands power. I think sometimes some of us are unsuccessful simply because we don't really understand power. We haven't studied it. And see, power is a tricky subject. Almost anyone we would label successful seems to have quite a bit of it, though. Right? What is power? Influence, leadership, the ability to persuade. That's power. The ability to pick up the phone. My wife asked me years ago, what is it that you ultimately want? She's like, you want to be the player? I said, no. I want to be the one advising the player. Even to this day, I can call people that sit on both sides of the aisle politically, Republican, Democrat. I've done it before. Oh, man, my wife and I, we're trying to travel. Next week, we need passports for our children. I got you. Do you understand power? Do you understand how it works? Just because you have a title doesn't mean people will follow you. They may do what you say and go where you go, but that doesn't reflect power. it's likely a reflection of their need to survive. When people are following you to survive, remember, they will also eat you to survive. And if they will eat you, you never really held true power. Leaders with true power typically amass that power by helping those they lead. Period. Why can I make those phone calls? Because I helped them. Number 8, the yearning to be more. The yearning to be more. The yearning to be more. I'm going to talk about that more next week, the yearning to be more. Number 9, your ability to relate to and make a mistake. You're going to make mistakes, man. People make mistakes every day. So what? Keep moving. Mistakes happen. Learn, then move forward. The wise learn from other people's mistakes to ensure they don't have to personally acquire the lesson. Be that person. Number 10, urgent patience. Success is every step you take forward. You have to look at success in small steps. It typically comes in steps, not leaps. If you practice patient urgence, small, urgent, steady steps in one direction equate to a great distance over time. So start chipping away at your success today, one step at a time. Thank you for watching Inspirational Perspective. If you love this show and you want to see more content like this, you can go right here. And if you like this subject and you want to see much more content that we have available for you, just click the button here. As always, thanks for watching. Be sure to watch the show live, 7 a.m. every Sunday morning on WBON Radio, or you can catch it right here on YouTube or Facebook.com/Coach Linnell Harris. Be sure to hit that like button. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe so we can get more content just like this to you.